coach you is if you have ambition to be great. My job is to coach you to get all that greatness out of you.
What is good, Finn Nation? What's good? Happy birthday to the homie Nicholas D. I hope everyone is having a fantastic beginning to the week. It is Monday. Sorry, it is Tuesday. I apologize. It is the second day before we get into hump day, which is tomorrow. Hump day, where we get to the middle of the week and it gets a little bit easier and we get closer to the weekend. I said it was Monday because it feels like the Dolphins are back to work today, and usually everyone's back to work on a Monday, right? So the Dolphins were back at practice today. We're gonna go over everything. We got a lot to go over with it. It was a little bit of a rough day for the quarterback room. 6 interceptions were thrown. 3 of those interceptions were from Tua Tagovailoa. And there's a lot of context to the interceptions that I got to give Travis Wingfield a tip of my cap to, because he's one of the few that added a lot of the context to it. So we're going to go over everything. We got the Sun Sentinel, we got the Miami Herald, we got SI.com, we got Travis's feed, Pro Football Network, Palm Beach Post. We got everything to go over there. I also want to go over the media availability of Mike McDaniel. Depending on time restraints, we'll either go over the actual media availability, or I basically got the Cliff Notes version here. On top of that, it was obviously roster cutdown day. The Dolphins had to get down to 85. We'll talk about the moves they made. And then I wanted to take a look at all 11 reps from Liam Eichenberg's performance on Saturday, because it was quite the roller coaster, and everyone knows I was worried about his anchor. And even in 11 reps, you saw some reps where, it made you cringe a little bit about his anchor and what he has and what he possesses. So we'll go over that stuff as well. We got a ton to go over tonight. So I appreciate all of y'all for coming out. One thing I do want to talk about is, listen. All right, well, let me paint a picture for y'all, okay? My kid went down today, and I said, you know what, I'll get a nap too while my kid was down. So I got a nap, and I woke up, and I woke up to Twitter just having a meltdown over Tua throwing 3 picks today, and the quarterback's throwing 6 picks. And listen, all right, this is too much for me. Okay, again, we're back to practice. This isn't even joint. We're not even into joint practices. Right? What have I said? Put the stock in joint practices and preseason games. Okay. We've got a beat up secondary. The fact that they forced this many turnovers, they need to be given a nod for, because that's huge. All right. Number one. Number two, listen, if this would have happened in a joint practice, or if this would have happened multiple times in a row in a joint practice, or if this would have happened in a preseason game or multiple preseason games, okay, I could get everyone's concern a little bit here, but we're talking about practice, man. Same way, listen, when Tua goes out there and Thompson goes out there, because they had that day, and they shred, between 7-on-7s and 11-on-11s and red zone work, they're throwing 4 touchdowns each. Do we all of a sudden start saying the whole secondary is trash? I keep telling people, like, there's just way too much overreaction and emotional investment in practice. And I get it. It's because where the expectations are. But, like, let's be honest here. It is ridiculous. All right? Like, they threw 6. All right? Teddy threw 2, Tua threw 3. I think that was a Teddy threw 2, and Skylar threw 1. How many multiple interception practices against our own team has Bridgewater had now? Like, what? I'm not even juicing the number. What, like 4, 5, 6? And I still think he's the best backup in football right now. I think he's in that conversation. You haven't heard me waver on him just because he's been throwing picks in practice. People forget, and Patrick Mahomes' his first year, well, second year, but first year taking over the team. Remember, he threw like those 6 interceptions in 1 week of practice? And what you guys will see today, too, I believe they had to go 60 or 70 yards in 40 seconds, and that's where a lot of these interceptions did come from. They were having to go 60 to 70 yards in 40 seconds. And they all threw picks, I'm pretty sure, in that one. Right? I don't know. We'll get into the reports here, and we'll see who provided that context. But the context was that, guess what? A lot of these came from that drill, from that situational drill of having to go. I think it was either 60 or 70 yards, and you got to go that in 40 seconds for a touchdown. That's where these were coming from. So people overreacting to a situational drill on top of it. And there were touchdowns today. There were plenty of touchdowns today. We'll talk about that too. So I don't know why everyone's getting all worked up. Again, context. Even we'll show you. We'll get into it when we go into Travis's feed. Even them, Travis Wingfield basically said he explained why in how these interceptions happened, because the context mattered for all the quarterbacks, not just Tua today. And what have I been saying since I started this channel? Context matters. And my biggest frustration with this fan base is, and the media too, is they can label context as excuses, which is the worst thing in the world. Having a 32nd ranked offensive line is not an excuse. That's context. Having an inept offensive coaching staff is not an excuse. It's context. Having a lack of weapons beyond Waddle is not an excuse. That's context, right? An excuse was what we were talking about yesterday with Noah Benogany, when people want to say, oh, well, he's still 22 years old. Well, you've been in the league for 3 years now. When I started hearing, well, he's 22 years old, or, oh, he's only been playing the position for this long. Sure. I mean, playing the position for so long, that's context to it. But we're now into the third year into a pro. How long are we going to use that for? Oh, this is only his 4th year. Oh, this is only his 5th year. You see how that context can turn to an excuse, right? That context can turn into an excuse. And I was fine with the age thing for year 1, year 2. Year 3, light bulbs got to start going on. And guess what? Noah Benogany makes a play today. The guy, he had a 100-yard pick 6 on Teddy Bridgewater today. It's like the guy was listening to me yesterday. I finally got something, albeit I want that in a game, Noah. But hey, the corners came out to play. They're probably, and you know what? Let's be honest. That secondary was probably feeling some way with what a guy like Tyler Johnson did to them. That's probably exactly what happened. These guys were feeling away because Tyler Johnson went out and made them all look foolish. And they had a good day. In situational drills, what can you say? It's going to happen. I would rather it happen in practice than in a joint practice with another team or on Sunday. So that's where I'm at. Again, overreactions. Let's pick and choose what we put stock in here. Like people losing their minds over practice. And yet, we were hyped in the moment. When the bombs are coming, or he was shredding, or defenses were getting shredded, we were hyped in the moment. I mean, I think we can all pretty much agree with that. But we weren't sitting here overreacting on Twitter and overreacting on Facebook and YouTube. Just not. Like, we'd show the highlights and we'd love it. But you aren't seeing us saying, okay, it's over, like blah, 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 blah. So, I just, people need to relax. Like I said, put the stock in the joint practices, put the stock in the stuff that matters, like preseason games. Let's see. Like, what if the offense comes back tomorrow and totally annihilates our defense? It could happen. It's happened in practice before during this camp. Camp's going to be a roller coaster. The defense is going to win a lot of days. The offense is going to win days. And that's just how it is. So, hey, is what it is. Let's get into everything here. Let's start it off because we got a lot to go over. Again, we're going to go over all the training camp reports. Then I want to do a little film breakdown of Liam Eichenberg's performance this past Saturday. We got all 11 snaps chopped up for you. We're going to take a look at that. Then on top of that, I want to take a look, depending on time, I want to take a look on Mike McDaniel's media availability. So I'm going to save that to the, till after we get through the reports. We'll either go through the cliff notes or I'll actually play it. So, all right. Now, you know what? We'll put the notes up because I don't think we're going to have enough time to play over the 23-minute media availability just with my little film study that I want to go through here. So we're going to go over the news. We're going to go chronologically here. We're going to go over the news that broke today. They made their cuts first. Then McDaniel met with the media, so we'll go over what he had to say. And then we'll get into the training camp reports. All right? And then we will get into the Liam Eichenberg film breakdown. So let's start off with the news that, it basically started off our day in Dolphin land. So the Dolphins, they waived backup center Cole Banwart, former CFL standout Devontae Dedman, return man, he's gone. And DL defensive lineman Jordan Williams, who's just body, right? They also waived Tino Ellis, who's injured. We saw him get injured during the game on Saturday, I believe. And Adam Shaheen was put on injured reserve. So there are their 5 moves. That got them down officially to 85, right? They waived 4 technically with Tino Ellis. And then Adam Shaheen moving to IR. He no longer counts against the roster. So I guess they're going to revisit Shaheen, next offseason. He's pretty much done, though. He's done. And I believe his contract is up, too. So it was nice knowing you. I wish we could have got something. Now, Tino Ellis, decent depth guy. I use the word decent, and I stress the word decent. Decent depth guy. Practice squad. I'm sure they'll try and bring him back to the practice squad. Maybe they'll probably try and put Devontae Dedman onto the practice squad as well. Eventually, when they do make practice squad moves. And Cole Banwart, I told you guys yesterday, they have no intentions of bringing in a center that can push Connor Williams back to left guard as of right now. So we'll see how it works out. But nothing really that, moves the needle on this. I will say, though, I wanted Dedman to continue to get a look because I don't like our special teams situations. But I will say this. We showed the film yesterday of Lynn Bowden. And maybe this is a good sign that they like what they saw from Lynn Bowden. That's what I'm hoping of. Hold on. That's what I'm hoping on. So what basically happens is now in 7 days, so August 23rd, we're going to have to now cut down to 80. So we'll be cutting another 5 in a week from today. And then on the 30th, all right, so 2 weeks from today, the Dolphins will be officially cutting down from 80 to 53. So next Tuesday, we go from 85 to 80. Then the following Tuesday after that, we go from 85 to 53. So we got some key dates coming up. The next 2 Tuesdays are going to have ramifications on this roster. So keep it locked right here on Phinside The NFL. If any major breaking cuts happen, I will probably go live in the day for those if they're major moves. Also with that, those dates to keep in mind: August 23rd, when every team goes from 85 to 80, and August 30th, when every team goes from 80 to 53. Beyond, there was already some surprise cuts today, but those next two dates are also going to have surprise cuts. So it'll be very interesting to see the movement, and if anyone hits the waiver wire that the Dolphins are interested in picking up. So again, next Tuesday, we go from 85 to 80. And then 2 Tuesdays from now, on August 30th, we go from 80 to 53. So key dates to keep in mind for all of you as we get closer to the regular season. And like I said yesterday, if you are a Patreon, you got the update. I told y'all, I believe, live yesterday. From what I'm hearing is Game 3 is most likely going to be the dress rehearsal for us. The Eagles game, from what I'm hearing, is going to be the dress rehearsal. Now, reason, what does dress rehearsal exactly mean? That means, okay, Tua could play a series this week, sure, but the majority of snaps our starters are going to see in a preseason game is your dress rehearsal. And from what I'm hearing, that is going to be the third game. So the game against the Eagles, from what I understand, is going to be the game where our starters get their most snaps of the preseason. That's what I'm hearing. The initial plan is now. Sorry, the plan is right now. The initial plan was for it to be this week, but I've heard it has changed to week 3. So we'll see how that goes. So just for all of y'all to keep that in mind too, as we have these preseason games coming up. Now, interesting stuff did come out of Mike McDaniel's little presser today. We're probably not going we're not going to have time to go over the whole thing, so I will go over the takeaways from it courtesy of the Miami Herald. Tight end Adam Shaheen won't play for the Dolphins this season. As you saw, he's put on IR. Remember, when Bowden was put on IR last year, that ends your season. When you are put in IR during the preseason, you're done. That even if you're going to be healthy by week 3, you are done for the season. The Dolphins placed Shaheen on season-ending injured reserve on Tuesday. Miami traded him to Houston last week, but the trade was torpedoed because he failed a physical due to a knee injury. We 100% thought he was 100% healthy before the nullified Texans trade, McDaniel said. We were surprised about the knee injury, as Adam was. He got more opinions and has decided to get surgery. That puts him on IR, and he's out of the season. The Dolphins decided that Shaheen was expendable because of Mike Gesicki, Durham Smythe, and Hunter Long were ahead of him on the depth chart at tight end. Ethan Carter, an H-back, can also play tight end. Shaheen, who is set to become a free agent next March, caught 24 passes for 260 yards and 3 touchdowns in 2 seasons with the Dolphins. He appeared in 28 games for the Dolphins and started 12. In all, the Dolphins made 5 moves to trim their roster to 85 players 6 hours before Tuesday's 4 p.m. deadline. Banwert, Devontae Dedman, Jordan Williams, and Tino Ellis were all waived. Banwert was competing for backup interior line job. He took a lot of snaps at center in training camp before Michael Gito returned from foot injury. Dedman was elite returner in the CFL, but could never gain traction in the crowded Dolphins receiver room. And Williams, who played at Clemson and Virginia Tech, wasn't as productive as fellow undrafted front 7 players Ben Still, DeAndre Johnson, and Owen Carney. McDaniel said the team remains extremely hopeful that cornerback Byron Jones, who had surgery in the ankle Achilles injury in the spring, will be ready for the opener and is exactly where the team thought he would be at this stage. Jones has been on the PUP list since training camp started. McDaniel says Jones hasn't had any setbacks. Things have hit on all cylinders without a setback for that to be the case. McDaniel said of Jones being available for September 11th against New England. Nothing has changed in that regard. The timeline for him is a little shorter based on his production on the NFL level. Again, I've told you, Alexander McKenzie, the reason why they added a primarily slot guy was you've seen them play with Needham at safety when Holland was out with COVID last year. You saw them again flirt with that in the first preseason game. Gives them flexibility. They can move Needham to free safety if they have to this season. Also, Mackenzie Alexander gives them the freedom that Keon Crossan doesn't have to be Needham's primary backup, right? Because he was mainly a slot guy in New England. They like what they've seen from him on the boundary recently. They want to try him out there now. So Keon Crossan could be in line for snaps if Byron Jones isn't fully 100% in week 1. McDaniel on the signing of cornerback Mackenzie Alexander in the wake of Trill Williams' season-ending ACL injury. The versatility of him being able to play inside and outside is nice for us. Everyone knows where he's had his production. That production during his 5-year NFL career has come largely in the slot. His addition allows the Dolphins to play Nick Needham more on the boundary opposite Xavier Howard. Until Jones returns, Needham started on the boundary in Saturday's preseason game. Last season with the Vikings, Alexander permitted a bloated 117.1 passer rating in his coverage area. He allowed 56 catches and 77 targets for 12.2 yards per catch. Yeah, it also allows them to put Needham on the boundary as well, right? Look at the flexibility it gives you with Needham alone, right? Let alone Keon Crossan, which I know they're very intrigued by with his athleticism. We're going for the best player inside or outside available, McDaniel said. He was on our radar before we had any injuries. We like Nick Needham's versatility. I felt there was a need for a competitive NFL defensive back as opposed to seeking a slot cornerback particularly. The question now is whether Noah Benogany, a first-round pick in 2020, will make the team. If Alexander makes the team and if Jones is ready for the opener, the Dolphins would have 5 corners with Howard, Jones, Needham, Alexander, and special teams ace Keon Crossan, who has played well at cornerback in camp. Regarding Benogany, McDaniel said he's impressed by his internal fortitude. You have to have a short memory as a cornerback. He's shown growth from stories I heard coming in and moving on to the next play and not getting down on himself. As far as where he needs to improve, I don't ever want him to lose his aggressiveness and play like he's not trying to get beat. I want him to be cutthroat with the game of football and trust all of his instincts. When he's a hair passive, I will say that's not you. That's not where you are in your development. McDaniel was non-committal about whether quarterback Tua Tagovailoa will play in Saturday's preseason home game against Las Vegas. Tagovailoa is healthy, but was held out of Saturday's game against Tampa. He said, I do expect players who didn't play in the last game to play in this game, McDaniel said. It's more where the whole offense is at and the other players that have to play. Does that necessitate him playing? To do it the right way, there are so many compounding variables. I would hesitate to say yes, Tagovailoa will play, or no, he will not. I haven't totally made a decision. I have a best guess. McDaniel declined to share his best guess. McDaniel plays left tackle Larnell Coleman, who started in Teron Armstead's absence on Saturday. He had some growth, McDaniel said, and there have been some areas where, hey, man, you have to emphasize this, or we need more here. I see him having a very good camp and the ability to have an even better camp. It's been far from perfect, which is kind of the case for most, if not all, players. Coleman, a 7th-round pick in 2021, allowed a sack during Saturday's game. Yeah, Coleman, he was okay. He was up and down. He allowed the sack, but he didn't allow a ton of pressures. Coleman he wasn't good. Like, I'm not going to sit here and write home about Larnell Coleman. But takeaways from that, you got the Jones stuff. Man, hoping he's ready for game 1 because we are definitely going to need him for week 1, and the crazy thing is there's going to be some rust. I wish he was going to be back a little bit earlier just to shake off that rust because, man, we need him flying out there. We need him at full gear. So interesting to see how that plays out. The cornerback room, it's okay depth-wise right now. They didn't even mention our boy Elijah Campbell. So now let's get to the training camp report for today. Again, we're going to go back to the Miami Herald, and we're going to start off with them and what they had to say today. So 6 interceptions, 3 by Tua at Dolphins camp. Number 13 practice. I love it. The Marino practice and the quarterback struggle. Oh, God. The 13th practice of the Dolphins training camp featured players in shorts, not full uniforms, and featured 6 interceptions from Dolphins defensive backs, including 3 thrown by Tua Tagovailoa, and big days from wide receiver Trent Sherfield and tight end Mike Gesicki. Sherfield, he's very likely going to be on this team. I've been telling y'all since OTAs. Not only was he wearing the orange practice jersey for his good work in practice last week, but he followed that up with 4 touchdowns in red zone drills Tuesday. On the first set of red zone drills, he caught touchdowns from Tagovailoa, Teddy Bridgewater, and Skylar Thompson. A half hour later, he hauled in another touchdown from Bridgewater in red zone drills, and then he caught a 15-yard pass from Tua in full 11-11 work. Sherfield also caught one pass for 33 yards in the preseason opener. It would be very surprising if he's not a Dolphin when the regular season starts. Gesicki, the tight end whose role in the passing game has been limited throughout camp, caught 2 touchdowns in red zone drills, one from Tagovailoa and one from Thompson. Tagovailoa later connected with Gesicki for a 10-yard reception in 11-11 drills. Gesicki was arguably the most accomplished Dolphin who played in Saturday night's preseason opener as he continues to learn the nuances of playing tight end in a Mike McDaniel offense. So, hey, we're already seeing touchdowns all over the place here, especially in red zone work. Dolphins defensive backs who made 6 interceptions. Brandon Jones, Javon Hollins, and Nick Needham intercepted Tagovailoa once apiece. Noah Monogany intercepted Bridgewater, and that was a 100-yard return for a touchdown. And Elijah Campbell and Quincy Wilson picked off Thompson. So there you go. Bridgewater had 1, and Thompson had 2 today. And Thompson, everyone knows how good Thompson looked on Saturday, but he had an off day. It happens. Igbenogany's shoestring catch on the Bridgewater pass and long touchdown return. Igbenogany, whose spot on the roster is now seemingly in question, picked off Bridgewater and returned it for 90-plus yards with no defender chasing him, but he was later beaten on a red zone touchdown pass to Braylon Sanders. Igbenogany vented after the interception by throwing the ball into the net. Jones made a nice play on the ball, picking off Tagovailoa's pass in the red zone. This wasn't one of Tagovailoa's better days. He had 3 interceptions and was off on a few other passes. In his first non-red zone 11-11 work of Tuesday's practice, Tagovailoa completed a 25-yarder to Cedric Wilson on a sideline pattern and then a 25-yarder to Tyreek Hill, who made a sliding catch. But then he threw 2 incomplete passes to Gesicki. The first one bounced off Gesicki's hands, and the second one was too high, so 1 bad pass. And that was followed soon after by a red zone interception by Jones. 2 bad passes. Later, Needham picked off a Tagovailoa pass that was way too high. That's not good. Then he made a bad throw on a Jones interception. And the ball picked off by Holland wasn't a good throw either. Earlier Tuesday, Tagovailoa went 2 for 5 in red zone drills with 3 throwaways forced by pressure. Of the 2 completions, one was a touchdown to Sherfield. The other was a short completion to Sanu. Tagovailoa threw a touchdown pass to Gesicki in the next set of 11-11s. Zach Seiler got a good pressure on Tagovailoa, forcing a throwaway. Seiler has had a strong camp so far. In red zone work, Bridgewater threw the interception to Igbenogany, but also threw touchdowns to Lynn Bowden Jr., Ethan Carter, and Braylon Sanders. Raheem Mostert dropped a pass from Tagovailoa. He has had a couple of drops in camp so far. Connor Williams had a couple of high snaps early in practice. Later, there was a bobbled exchange between Tagovailoa and Connor Williams. They're going to keep forcing it. Edge player Darius Hodge, who has had a good camp, got a sack on Bridgewater. Keon Crosser, who was beaten on one of Gesicki's touchdown catches, also broke up a Tagovailoa pass in the end zone. Preston Williams dropped what would have been a touchdown pass from Bridgewater, but later caught a 20-yard touchdown pass from Bridgewater. Okay, so Preston, not making the most of opportunities, then making the most of opportunities all over the place, my friend. Sanders, the undrafted Mississippi receiver, had a long catch from Bridgewater in addition to that touchdown in red zone drill. So seems like Braylon Sanders, coming back to life right now a little bit. Sam McGuavin deflected an incomplete pass by Bridgewater. Elijah Hamilton had good coverage on a Bridgewater pass to Sanders, and Jason Sanders was wide left on a 60-yard field goal. At least he wasn't short. 4 players sat out practice with injuries: Greg Little, John Lovett, Brendan Scarlett, and obviously Byron Jones. Little is competing with Larnell Coleman for the backup tackle job. Scarlett, who's expected to miss a few days, is competing with Porter Gustin, Darius Hodge, and Cameron Good for backup edge jobs. And Lovett is a long shot to make the roster. Byron Jones remains on the physically unable to perform list. And Jalen Waddle was at practice but did not participate for reasons that weren't made public. I'm not a fan of that. Hoping Waddle's okay. Hoping Waddle is okay. Not a fan of that. Not a fan of that at all. So the Dolphins defense, they came to play today. They snagged 6 interceptions And this is by David Feronas, friend of the show. He says, if Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa thought he had it all figured out after an encouraging string of practices, Tuesday's return to team drills after sitting out the preseason opener was humbling. Tagovailoa easily had his worst practice of training camp, throwing 3 interceptions on a day when all Dolphins quarterbacks combined for 6. Tagovailoa was intercepted by safeties Brandon Jones, Javon Holland, and cornerback Nick Needham. Backup Teddy Bridgewater threw an interception to cornerback Noah Benogany, and rookie Skylar Thompson was picked off late in Tuesday's session by Elijah Campbell and Quincy Wilson, the birthday boy standout from the University School, who also played for the Florida Gators. That's just how we hold ourselves as a standard, linebacker Landon Roberts said of the stout defensive effort. Turnovers win games. We have to strive ourselves going against our offense, and being able to do that, it's good. We just have to be able to put it together when it's time to go out on Sundays. And that's another thing. Everyone, our defense is elite. Our defense is elite. So then when our defense has elite days, Chicken Little, run for the hill with the quarterback. So Tua was a bust. Blah, 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 blah. Bro, if this defense is as elite as a lot of you claim it to be, they should have days like this. Shouldn't they? No matter who the quarterback is. These are the ebbs and flows of training camp. Tagovailoa had a run of effective, efficient practices between joint sessions and the Buccaneers last week, and several inter-squad practices leading up to it. Aside from the interceptions, he was off the mark on several throws Tuesday. It's iron sharpens iron. We come out and try to make our best try our best to make each other better, said Trent Sherfield, who wore the orange jersey as the previous practice's top performer and had another standout performance Tuesday. I feel like the defense got the best of us Tuesday. They came out and they executed their plays well. We had some troubles executing our plays across, up front, outside, quarterbacks, running back. Everybody had trouble executing. Wednesday will come out. We're going to try and get them again. These days where the defense wins, there's days where the defense wins, and there's days where the offense wins. I mean, what am I saying? Although it was a down practice for Tagovailoa and the quarterbacks, Dolphins defensive backs had a bounce-back effort coming off the Saturday exhibition when the Bucs passing game had its way. Jones, Needham, and Nick Benogany all had interceptions and were near the ball on other plays after the 3 gave up a passing touchdown between them on Saturday. Benogany had a shoestring interception of Bridgewater in a red zone drills that could have been returned for a touchdown. Bridgewater had a successful period aside from the interception, throwing touchdowns to Lynn Bowden, Ethan Carter, and Sherfield. He later connected with Sherfield again, Cedric Wilson, and Braylon Sanders in another string of red zone touchdowns. Tagovailoa had an impressive situational drive when he hit Wilson wide open off play action, then Tyreek Hill sliding over the middle for a big chunk, and Chase Edmonds into the flat to quickly get Miami into the red zone. The drive stalled for a Jason Sanders field goal after Raheem Mostert dropped a 3rd and 2 pass in the flat. Mike Gesicki saw more involvement in the form of targets, catching 1 touchdown from Tagovailoa, another from Thompson, along with another reception in the flat from Thompson. Connor Williams had a pair of high snaps, again early in 11-11 work after he didn't play Saturday at Tampa Bay. It was not noticed as an issue again through later portions of practice. Terron Armstead was back to an increased workload at left tackle, like in Thursday's joint session with the Bucs after getting the weekend off. Like Thursday, he called it a day in one of the final series for the first team. Darius Hodge, after his sack fumble that led to a Sam McGuavin touchdown Saturday, had a 3rd down sack of Bridgewater that had much to do with the coverage. Zach Seiler had a pressure on Tagovailoa that forced a throwaway. McGuavin broke up a Bridgewater pass over the middle. The run game was mostly held down, but Edmonds burst through the left side of the line between the tackles for a sizable gain early in Tuesday 11-11 drills. Sanders, after going 4 for 4 on field goals with 2 from 50+ on Saturday, tested his leg on Tuesday, having a 66-yard attempt go off the crossbar, no good, and a 60-yarder with enough distance but wide left. Stock up for today, Trent Sherfield was the star of practice with 4 total touchdown catches, including 3 in red zone work from the 3 different quarterbacks. Already with the orange jersey from the Thursday joint practice in Tampa, He could easily make a case for another day with it for a first-time back-to-back winner since McDaniel made it a motivational tool for the Dolphins in organized team activities, but it could come down to one of the defensive backs with an interception. My money's on Eichenberg to get his confidence up. They're going to give it to Eichenberg. That's what I think. Stock down. It has to be Tagovailoa for the 3 interceptions. 2 of them came under the duress of the 2-minute drill action when the quarterback was forced to maneuver quickly up the field. McDaniel has said he would be surprised if Tagovailoa doesn't see any live preseason action, and now it's lining up for him to start on Saturday in the preseason home opener against the Raiders. Injury report, Jalen Waddle missed Tuesday's practice for undisclosed reasons. He appeared fine after practice, catching balls on the jugging machine. Others not seen practicing were outside linebacker Brendan Scarlett, Greg Little, John Lovett, and Kellen Diesch didn't practice today. Sheldrick Redwine and Kadir Kahu were in attendance, but were seen running on the side during team drills. Redwine missed joint practices with the Bucs and the preseason game. So there you go. A little bit more availability news from the Sun Sentinel. Continuing on, though, and moving on to Elaine Pupar's report from today. So he says the Miami Dolphins were back at practice Tuesday for the first time since their preseason opener against the Buccaneers, and the defense absolutely dominated a session that featured a lot of red zone and end of game situations. And the Dolphins had a few players sit out practice, most notable obviously being Jalen Waddle. And he goes over how Kellen Diesch, Kadir Kahu, Sheldrick Redwine, and Lovett were there but didn't participate, and how Greg Little and Scarlett were not spotted. And Alec Ingold, here's another piece. He was not in his red no contact jersey today, so there you go. And obviously Sherfield had the orange jersey. The top performers according to Pupar, we have to start with safety Brandon Jones, who had one of the 6 interceptions recorded by the defense. His pick came against Tua Tagovailoa in a 2-minute drill on a deep pass down the middle. He also had great coverage against Tyreek Hill on a 2-inning completion in the corner of the end zone. Sherfield certainly made himself a candidate for wearing the orange jersey 2 practices in a row. With another outstanding practice, Sherfield caught 5 passes in team drills, 4 of them for touchdowns. The last of our 3 nods could go to any number of defensive players, among them Jalen Phillips, Noah Benogany, Elijah Hamilton, and Keon Crossan, but they went with Nick Needham. He had a good day in coverage, highlighted by a 2-play sequence where he broke up a deep pass intended for Tyreek Hill and followed up with an interception on a pass overthrown down the field. Quarterback watch. Tagovailoa has been having a pretty good camp, but this was a rough day for him. By one unofficial count, he completed 11 of 30 passes in team drills with 3 interceptions, 1 in red zone and the 2 other in 2-minute situations. That did include 2 spikes. His final passer rating for the day was 47.4. So now we're busting out passer ratings on practice. Wow. Guys, we've gone over every single one of Alain Poupart's training camp reports, and he's never, ever, when Tua had the good days, busted out the passer rating. But today, for some reason, he's busting out the passer rating. Stop with that nonsense. No, come on. You can't pull that one past me. We got the receipts. We go over your report every day. Come on, man. Tua did have 3 touchdown passes in red zone work, 1 each Sherfield, Mohamed Sanu, and Mike Gesicki, but he was off the target with several throws, even though maybe one of the interceptions could have been excused because of the desperation simulated situation. His best completion of the day was a 25-yard hookup to River Craycraft in front of Xavier Howard. Teddy Bridgewater was much sharper, and we have his final stats as 12 for 20 with 5 short touchdowns and 1 interception. Where's his passer rating, bro? Bridgewater had a couple of nice throws downfield, including completions in traffic to Cedric Wilson Jr. and Preston Williams. After playing the whole game against Tampa, Skylar Thompson got very limited work in this practice. He took 1 turn at a red zone situation and did very well in the first by completing all 3 of his passes, including a 4-yard touchdown pass. But things didn't go nearly as well in the 2-minute drill, as his 3 plays went interception, sack, interception. Newcomers Mackenzie Alexander and Niall Scott both were at practice today, and Alexander was even spotted in team drills late in the session. For those keeping score, Alexander is wearing 34 and Scott has 70. Preston Williams and Lynn Boder, in light of the report suggesting the Dolphins were shopping them. Bowden caught 2 passes in team drills for 21 yards and a touchdown. There you go, Bowden. Translate it, baby. Let's go. While Williams had 1 long reception from Bridgewater, Bowden, and we all know he had a drop from previous reports. Bowden, of course, had a very impressive preseason opener against Tampa Bay. Along with Jones and Needham, the others with interceptions on the day included Noah Igbenogany, Elijah Campbell, Javon Holland, and Quincy Wilson. Igbenogany scooped up a low pass from Bridgewater in the corner of the end zone and raced down the sideline for what would have been a 100-plus yard pick 6. Connor Williams' first shotgun snap of the day was high, but there were no issues the rest of the day. So Pupar saying Williams had no issues. The Miami Herald's reporting there was a bobbled exchange between him and Tua, and he had multiple high snaps. So, I mean, contrarian reports here, right? Edge defender Darius Hodge got himself into the backfield on a running play by Chase Edmonds. A completion to Mike Gesicki was nullified when the offense was flagged for pass interference, with an official talking to fellow tight end Hunter Long. Running back Raheem Mostert dropped a swing pass, though that shouldn't be a concern given his history as a pass catcher. Jason Sanders attempted 2 long-distance field goals in 2-minute drills, but hit the crossbar in a 62-yard attempt. David Ferona said it was 66 yards, and was wide left from a 60-yard attempt. The defense had 3 sacks based on plays that likely would have produced that result outside of a practice setting, and they went to rookie Ben Still and Jalen Phillips, along with Noah Igbenogany. Oh, look at that. Noah had an interception, a pick 6, and a sack today. Look at this guy making plays. Do you watch my show, Noah? Phillips got his sack after getting around Larnell Coleman, who easily could have been flagged for holding on the play. Phillips later got pressure on Tua working against Teron Armstead. So Phillips is dominating our offensive line continuously in practice. Among DBs who had pass breakups were Keon Crossan against Hill, Sam McGuavin against Gesicki, D'Angelo Ross against Bowden, and Elijah Hamilton against Sanders. Look at D'Angelo Ross trying to save some face. I see you, bro. Sorry, buddy. It ain't happening. Quickly, here is this is what Travis Wingfield, these are his takeaways on his timeline from camp today. He said, good back and forth in red zone work today. Tua found Sherfield and Sanders for touchdowns. Bridgewater to Sherfield and Bowden for scores. Thompson had a touchdown to Gesicki, and Sherfield forced 3 throwaways with pretty good pockets from the O-line. Holland and Crossan had good one-on-one coverage. So 3 touchdowns for Trent Sherfield in that period. He's in the orange jersey today. Might just get it again. Added a 4th late in practice. Defense really clamped down in low red zone. Offense also could not get in on high red zone end of game situations. Noah Igbenogany picked off a Teddy Bridgewater pass and ran it 100 yards for a touchdown before firing the ball into a kicking net. Raekwon Davis and Darius Hodge ran down the whole length of the field to congratulate him. To his best throw to me was a second window in breaking route to Craycraft. Quickly pumped to pull the coverage away and open the secondary window, then ripped a shot to Craycraft to split the D and take off before Tua delivered a strike to Tyreek in the first window for a big run after the catch. Love when Indies carry over to the team period. Austin Clark had his league-leading DL in DL in passes batted, working on the same way during Indies and on the first play of team. Wilkins rejects 1. Chase Edmonds found a crease and exploded into the secondary on one of the first runs of practice. Different day, same story for him. His speed, decision-making, acceleration through cuts all stand out. Cedric Wilson has been so consistently good this camp and in game 1. He's had a huge gain up the sideline and a nice strike from Tua. Next play, Tua drills 125 yards down the middle. We're only Tyreek can catch it, and he does, going to the ground. Cedric scored in the red zone. Have to score period as well. Holland picks off Tua on a 3rd and goal from the 14. Have to score type of situation. Tua threw it into a crowd, and the snowman takes it the other way for about 40 yards or so. So there you go. One of his touchdowns was he had to throw. It was 3rd and goal from the 14. You got to come away with a touchdown. Mohamed Sanu's blocking helps spring Ethan Carter into the second level on a quick throw. Sanu and Sherfield are two guys that are consistently see making big contributions in the blocking element of the position. Defense really dominated in the late game situation stuff. 15 yards out, and you have to score. Then, with 20 seconds left, down 4, needing 50 yards, Needham had a pick and a pass breakup in the period. Teddy did find Braylon Sanders for a big gain up the sideline. So there you go. Needham's pick and pass breakup off Tua. 20 seconds left. You're down 4 and you need 50 yards. That's a lot of context that needed to be added to the situation, right? Because we're all sitting there thinking Tua's just dropping back, throwing picks. There you go. 20 seconds left. Down 4. You need 50 yards. That's where Needham stuff came from. 35 seconds from the 20. Down 4. Negative 20. So you're starting from your own 20. You're down 4 with 35 seconds left. Tua to Hill for 15. Clock. Tua to Sherfield for 15 for clock. Throwaway after a quick pressure. Sanders off the crossbar from 62. Same situation with Teddy. Gustin does a flyby. Teddy DeBowen for 15. Clock. Preston contested catch for 20 seconds. Clock. Throwaway. Sanders wide from 60. Plenty of leg on this one. Same situation from Skyler. Intercepted. Didn't see a number. Move the ball up to 35. Ben Still would be sacked. Next play, interception, Quincy Wilson. So his takeaway was the defense knows how to close out a game. Gave the offense nothing when it had to cover 70 yards in 40 seconds. So there you go, man. A lot of context now. See, now we're only at 25. So, 20, 35 seconds to score down by 4. That's a lot of context. That's a lot of yardage you got to move. Just saying. That's a lot of context. So, continuing on, PFN was there. And then Adam Beasley was there. The very faint silver lining to Tua Tagovailoa's bad day. The truth up top, Tuesday was by far Tua Tagovailoa's worst practice of camp. The Miami Dolphins quarterback threw 3 interceptions and completed 36.7% of his attempts in team drills. Look at these guys are like pulling out like passer ratings and completion percentages now as soon as he has a bad day. By simply crushing Tagovailoa and not praising an injury-depleted defensive backfield would be disingenuous. Let's give credit to a group that has been without one of the top players all camp. Dolphins cornerback Byron Jones remains on the PUP list following offseason Achilles surgery. With the regular season just 26 days off, we're rapidly nearing the point where his availability for week 1 is into question. McDaniel, however, isn't among those worried about his health. McDaniel said the medical and coaching staffs are very hopeful he will be available for the season opener against the Patriots. The entire time we've all known, including Byron, that all things need to hit on all cylinders without having setbacks. For that to be the case, nothing's changed in that regard. He's still in that part of this timeline where it's unknown. As of now, he hasn't had any setbacks, so it was still extremely hopeful. I believe in the player and the human being. We hold the same optimism as we did before. If not, the Dolphins would have some serious depth issues at cornerback, particularly after rising reserve Trill Williams suffered a season-ending ACL injury. But if Tuesday was a fair gauge, there's reason to believe the Dolphins could survive a few games if he isn't available in game 1. See, that's what people should be taking away too. Our guys stepped up, man. Trill goes down. They got toasted a little bit by Tyler Johnson and some of those receivers, and they stepped up and they had a day against a Dolphins offense that's given them the work in a lot of inter-squad practices. So good stuff. 6 different Dolphins had interceptions. Needham, Jones, Holland, Igbenogany, Campbell, and Quincy Wilson. And all Dolphin defenders combined for at least another half dozen pass breakups. Keon Crossan was responsible for at least one of those pass deflections, continuing a strong training camp that has led the Dolphins coaches to consider using him on more than just kick teams. What I'm great at is special teams, Crossan said. I think I have some really important attributes. The only thing I can show that is to prove it every day. Nothing is given in this league. You have to earn everything. Noah Igbenogany's interception, which came off Bridgewater, was a nice bounce back after a rough week in Tampa. He returned the pick 6 and then cathartically fired the pigskin into the kicking net behind the goalposts. Igbinoghene, who has been a target of constant criticism ever since the Dolphins reached to take him in the first round of the 2020 draft. After 2 disappointing seasons, this is surely his last chance to stick in Miami. Depending on the health of his teammates, Igbinoghene might need a strong last 2 weeks to guarantee a spot on the 53. I said yesterday he's closer to the roster bubble than he is to making the team. I've been impressed by his internal fortitude, McDaniel said. It's not lost on me, the pressure that comes with being in the National Football League, especially when you're an athlete of his skill set. He's done an outstanding job. You have to have a short memory at the cornerback position. He's really had some maturation growth this year from the stories that I heard coming in, where he's moving on to the next play and competing and not letting himself get down on himself. Where he needs to improve, I would kind of say, I was alluding to that when I talked to him in the game. I don't want him to ever lose his aggressiveness and feel like he's playing not to get beat. I want him to always compete, have no memory in that regard, be cutthroat with the game of football, trust all of his training. So in times that I think he's being a hair passive, I jump on him and say, hey, that's not you. That is not where you're at in your development, which I think he agreed, which is, again, why he's taking some steps forward in his development. Our best guess is if Jones is unavailable for the opener, we see Needham, Crossan, and perhaps new signing Mackenzie Alexander with Xavier Howard on defense. I agree with that. Tagovailoa struggles mightily. None of the last few hundred words, plus the fact that Jalen Waddle sat out of practice for undisclosed reasons, should be taken as an absolution of Tagovailoa's performance Tuesday. Tua was really bad, particularly in 2-minute drills. That's where 2 of his picks occurred, but he also struggled in the red zone, throwing a terrible interception to Holland in the end zone. While he technically threw 3 touchdowns, all came in scripted goal-to-go simulations. And even with those touchdowns, his passer rating on the day was like, where did these guys got together and calculated his passer rating? Adam Beasley and Pupar are the only ones that have this, a 47.4. Plus, it's not like his 19 incompletions or interceptions were because of a bunch of drops. He was off targets and his throws throughout the day. Not good. Honestly, it's iron sharpen iron, said Trent Sherfield. Every single day we come out and we try to get the best of each other. The defense got the best of us today. They came out and executed their plays well. We had some troubles executing our plays up front, outside, quarterback, running back. Everybody had trouble executing. Tomorrow we'll come out and we'll try to get them again. There's days that the defense wins and days that the offense wins. It goes back and forth. One more interesting thing from Sherfield, who spent the 2021 season with McDaniel in San Fran, he said the playbook here is the same as it is in San Fran. The Miami Dolphins removed Adam Shaheen from their active roster Tuesday for the second time in a week, this time likely for good. The Dolphins trade last week with the Texans were nixed by failed Shaheen physical. Tuesday, Miami put him on the injured reserve. So what happened? Did the Dolphins doctor simply miss Shaheen's injury that is serious enough that it needs surgery? That's a classic example of the process of the National Football League being spot on, McDaniel explained. That's the reason it exists. He was practicing with nothing holding him back. We 100% thought he was 100% healthy. Such is the nature of veteran players. You incur nicks along the way, and that's why you have a physical before things can be finalized in the whole trade process. We were as surprised as Adam was, and that was something we definitely just didn't anticipate. But I think once we got that information, we had to digest it. The Dolphin coach continued on, all of us, including Adam. Once we got back and got some more opinions, he decided to get surgery, which puts him on IR and out for the season. We were 100% supportive, but it was a classic example of why do we have this physical and why are the trades not finalized until pending that physical? I think it was reinforcing the process of why the procedures are as such. Definitely wasn't anticipated. Nice little curveball. So they're claiming, they knew they thought he was 100%. He was practicing at 100% full tilt and it got reversed. So finally here, before we get into our Liam Eichenberg breakdown, here is the Palm Beach. I mean, they can't even get the numbers right. You got some people 13, 11. Jesus. The Dolphins had a practice open to the media and closed to fans on Tuesday. Remember, they will practice Wednesday and Thursday as well. So I will be live the next 2 days. And also today, guys, they didn't drop any video highlights. So other than Sherfield and you seeing him in an orange jersey, there were 0 highlights from today before I went live. So the Dolphins had a practice open to media and closed to fans on Tuesday morning. Before practice, Coach Mike McDaniel said tight end Adam Shaheen opted for surgery, ending his season. He also said he's not ready to say if Tagovailoa will play Saturday night against the Raiders. He's not ready to say if newly acquired cornerback Mackenzie Alexander is primarily a slot cornerback. And that's it. And here's their 5 instant takeaways here. Before we get into the practice report from the win. In the event Byron Jones is not ready, then Nick Needham could conceivably move outside. And here are some things they moved from practice. They noticed from practice. Mackenzie Alexander is wearing number 34 and practicing. Not spotted early in practice. Jalen Waddle, Brendan Scarlett, Greg Little, Kellen Deese, John Lovett. Alec Ingold no longer in that red no contract jersey. Connor Williams had 2 high snaps to Tagovailoa early in practice. Ethan Carter had a drop. Hunter Long committed a penalty. Lynn Bowden and Ethan Carter caught touchdown passes from Teddy Bridgewater in red zone work. Noah Benogany intercepted Teddy Bridgewater in the end zone. Mike Gesicki caught a touchdown in the red zone from Skylar Thompson. Tua connected with Cedric Wilson in 11-11s. Brandon Jones intercepted Tua, intended for Cedric Wilson. Darius Hodge had what would have been a sack. Crossan broke up a pass intended for Tyreek Hill. Trent Sherfield, wearing the orange practice jersey as the best player of last practice, caught a touchdown from Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater to Braylon Sanders for a touchdown over Noah Benogany. Nick Needham intercepted Tua on a desperation pass attempt. Braylon Sanders caught a touchdown from Teddy Bridgewater. Trent Sherfield had a strong practice. Jason Sanders hit the crossbar on a 62-yard attempt and was allowed left from 60. And Tua Tagovailoa was intercepted again by Javon Holland. Elijah Campbell intercepted Skylar Thompson, Miami's 5th interception of the day. Skylar Thompson was intercepted by Quincy Wilson, the 6th of the day. So brief. So overall, the defense had a strong day. Guys, smash that like button. 420 of you in the room. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. Help me out with my friend Al. Overall, a strong day from the defense. Interceptions, they were situational. It is what it is. I mean, when you got to go 70 yards or 50 yards in 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 40 seconds, things are going to happen. I mean, look at Skylar. Interception, sack, interception, and we saw how he was on Saturday. So I'm not panicking. The defense needed a bounce back day after the joint practices against the Bucs and the preseason game on Sunday. They had some rough goes, they had some rough beats, and it's good to see, man. So now, with all that said, guys, I want to get into a little bit. We did Lynn Bowden yesterday, and we take a look at all of his targets and a few of his special teams plays. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to show you all the snaps from Saturday from Liam Eichenberg. We got 11 snaps to go over. I want to go over them with you guys. Just take a look. It was a very mixed bag. Let's put it that way. Very mixed bag from Liam Eichenberg. He had one rep I really liked. So let's go over this. I'll full screen it for you guys. But yeah, I wanted to go over this for you just because everyone knows I'm worried about his anchor and stuff like that. So I said, you know what? Let's break this down. I told you guys yesterday we'd do a little bit of a breakdown of it. So let's look into this here for a sec. Let's pull it up for you. All right. Now, we're going to start here. Again, we got 11 plays. So, we're going to run them and we're going to roll through it. We're going to start off starts off on a very positive note. There you see him highlighted, a left guard right there. Get the motion going. And look at you just pulling with everyone, working in unison. Good stuff there from Liam Eichenberg. That's the stuff. When everyone's working together, moving together, I'm not worried about him, right? So now here we go again. This is kind of a wash. Again, you see that motion out of that offset I formation, which they did multiple times. They love this offset I and motioning out of it. And they ran 3 different plays out of this set. So it's good stuff. There you see him. Look at that's a wash. And why I'm going to call that a wash is this. The man arced around him. He did enough to keep him out wide for the running back to get up the middle. I believe that's Sony Michel there to get up the middle. Did enough, but I mean, he's the only man in the backfield right here. But you look at him, the foot speed, you see it. It's a little slow, but he manages to stay in front of him and arc him out a little bit, push off of him. Let's just say if that would have been a pass set, he would have been beat. But good stuff there. I'm going to call that a little bit of a wash. So now this is just a simple, he's going to chip. He's going to look for some work on the second level. Not really much to this. Good stuff here from Noah. Chip looking, he's looking for on the work on the screen, right? Not much work, obviously. All right. So this is god awful. Awful job here by picking up the looper. What he's going to do is he's going to give help to the left side, and he's going to be slow to react to pick up the looper. You got to be quicker. This is when I talk about the lack of athleticism, when I talk about the lack of foot speed that he shows. You're going to see it highlighted in this play right here. So you're going to watch. He's going to go over. He's going to give help, and he's beat. Because what's happened is now if that looper comes straight on, he's got a shot here. But that looper knows I'm dealing with a guy with slow feet. I just got to run around him. So he runs around him, and, he's beat. Not a great job picking up the looper there. Got to be a little bit better, a little quicker, a little bit more fleet of foot. Want to see that a little bit better from Liam Eichenberg. Now, this one, you see that linebacker there, 48, Grant Stewart. He's actually going to, I believe this is the one. He's going to stand him up, and he's going to put him down, right? And if you would have, right, and basically runs him into the ball carrier, and that's how they dead the play. Want to see better work here, right? You're going to get set up. He's losing the leverage game already. This is a guy who's smaller than him. He's lost the leverage game. He's down. He's back, and he's just pushed back on his heels. And Stewart pushes him back into the running lane so he can make a play, right? That's the anchor I'm talking about right there. That's the anchor issues I'm talking about. We're not dealing with a 320-pound interior defensive lineman here. We are dealing with a backup linebacker in Grant Stewart, right? Stands him up, drives him back, and makes the tackle. So you're going to need better stuff with the anchor. Drop the ass. You need to drop your ass, set your anchor, dig in, and, you shouldn't be pushed back on your heels by a man that much smaller than you. All right. So, now this next rep, this is a good rep by Liam Eichenberg. He's going to pass off. It's a good pass off to the tackle. Clean, effective, efficient. This is a good play by Eichenberg. He's going to pass him off right there. Yep, love it. Stood him off, passed him off, look for work. Love that rep from Liam Eichenberg. Strong rep from Liam Eichenberg. Now, this is probably my favorite rep in the game from Liam Eichenberg. You're going to see very active hands, good feet, keeps the man in front of him. Very strong rep right here from Liam Eichenberg. I thought this was an impressive rep. Look at that. Strong, active hands, keep his man in front of him. I like that. That was Eichenberg's best rep. Best rep, hands down, for me. Now, this, we're going to have a little bit of a balance issue, and people want to look at it as kind of a pancake. But, this is something you saw in his tape. That's something you saw in his tape when you watched him at Notre Dame. He loves this lunging, and he just connects with the lunge. That's all. Down blocks, lunge, boom. Gets enough of a piece of him. Hey, it got the job done. It ain't pretty. It ain't pretty by any means, but he got the job done. So I'm going to give him a tip of the hat for the effort there. Now, this one, he's going up against 91, who's shading the inside shoulders of both Dieter and Eichenberg here. 91's right over top of them. Bennington, Pateo. He's a third stringer, and he's just going to flat out overpower and overmatch Liam Eichenberg. I mean, I don't know what else to say here. It's just that's what happens. Just look at that. Just throws him to the ground. Just overpowers him. Just uses that Samoan strength and tosses Eichenberg to the ground like a rag doll. But you see right there, like, Eichenberg again, leaning forward, doesn't have good balance, and he just gets dominated. So, not a very strong rep from Liam Eichenberg. Now this is simple. This is just a simple screen stuff. Simple screen stuff. That's all. Nothing really to write home about here. Just getting downfield, looking for work. It's a screen. And then this final play, this was his 11th rep. This was his final rep of the game, and he doesn't really have work. You're going to see him. Good job here, though. Look, it doesn't get work. Looking for it, keeping the head on the swivel. That's a positive sign from Liam Eichenberg. So I like that rep from Liam Eichenberg. So all in all, like I said, it's a mixed bag. I mean, there were reps I liked there. There were some reps I really liked. There were some reps that I saw were encouraging. And there were some reps I didn't like at all. A mixed bag. We'll continue to watch Eichenberg week in and week out as he makes a transition to left guard. Maybe tomorrow we'll go ahead. I'll think about it. Let me see. Let me look at this quickly. Maybe I'll put it together for tomorrow. Let me see here. I'm thinking maybe for tomorrow's show, maybe I might add another one of these little mini player breakdowns. We'll look at something, because remember, on every Tuesday during the regular season will be Tua Tuesdays, where we break down every snap of Tua Tagovailoa. So I'm just getting us all prepared for that. Let me just see something here, guys. Just want to see something. So maybe, you know what, on the same thing tomorrow night, we'll take a look. I'll go ahead and I'll chop up. We'll take a look now at Austin Jackson on those reps, right? We focused in on Eichenberg. Tomorrow night, we'll flip it around and we'll focus on Austin Jackson, and we'll see what he did at right tackle tomorrow. We'll take a little bit of a look at what Austin Jackson did at right tackle tomorrow. All right. Maybe that'll be the plan. Let's put that and lock that in as a tentative plan for tomorrow, because I know that's something everyone is obviously interested in. So maybe we'll take a look at him tomorrow night. You know what I mean? So we'll see how it goes. Listen, other than that, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. The Dolphins are back tomorrow night. They are back for practice, so I'll be back tomorrow night at 8 p.m. I will then be back Thursday at 8 p.m. as well, because they will be practicing on Thursday. If anything big happens, hey, we'll take a look at it, right? If anything breaks, I will be live during the day. Everyone, I want y'all to stay happy, healthy, safe, and blessed. I appreciate all of y'all. I hope you enjoyed the look at Eichenberg. Rough day for the offense, but let's bounce back. Let's get it tomorrow. I believe, baby. I believe in this offense moving forward with Mike McDaniel, Tua Tagovailoa, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Wes Welker, and all of them. So let's have a bounce back day tomorrow. Again, there were no highlights released today, really, other than Sherfield in the orange jersey. So nothing much to see. Smash that like button, subscribe if you're new. Appreciate all of you. Y'all already know what time it is, baby. Fins up all day, every day. I will see y'all tomorrow. Peace out, everyone.